Welcome to another Monarch Social sales training video. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 impulse factors, the 5 steps to the sale, and the 6 habits of a super sales person. Okay, so let's get started with the 4 impulse factors. The first one is Jones effect. The Jones effect is pretty self-explanatory. We all heard the phrase keeping up with the Joneses. That's what the Jones effect plays on. It plays on jealousy. So we use the 4 impulse factors to help persuade the customer to buy. We throw them into our pitch as we're talking to the customer, and we'll talk about it more in the 5 steps to the sale. But the Jones effect plays on your neighbors are doing this, your competitors are doing this, so you should do it too. That's what the Jones effect effectively is. It plays on jealousy and envy. Okay, so indifference. The next impulse factor is indifference. Indifference is essentially saying that you don't care whether they buy or not. It's usually used like this. Yeah, this is what I offer, or this is what I suggest that you take as an offer. It's up to you whether you want to or not. I think it's a good idea, but if you don't want it, no big deal. And then you might throw in a Jones effect after that. I've already sold a lot of people on this block, and if you want it, cool. If not, no big deal. I just don't want you to be left behind. Okay, so it's just kind of like you're trying to egg them on into the sale. You're not trying to come off as too salesy or too needy for the sale, but you're also not trying to push them too hard, right? You don't want to come off as too needy, um, and then you sound desperate, and they know that you haven't made any sales today, and you're trying to make that sale so hard. That's what indifference plays on. It plays on, it's a psychological game you're playing with the customer. Make them seem like you don't care whether or not they buy it, and it actually lets them view the product for what it is and see if they actually want it and need it on the show. And they only have a limited supply of them too, right? So you have to call in 10 minutes, and you have to beat these people. We only have 100 of them left, and then you see them going down. We just sold 10 more. So that's what the fear of loss is. We're only doing this promotion for the next couple of days. We really want you to take advantage of it. A lot of your competition on this street have already taken advantage of the deal. We don't want you to miss out. But again, it's up to you whether you want to or not. Okay, and develop a sense of urgency. I typically do that by saying real quick or talking quickly throughout a sale. If you haven't noticed, I do tend to talk quickly, and during the videos I try to slow myself down, but I get kind of excited and start talking real fast and slur my words a little bit. But to develop a sense of urgency, I probably say real quick, or let's get through this real quick, probably around 40 or 50 times in a 20-minute presentation. So yeah, you can develop a sense of urgency by moving quick, by saying real quick, by doing things quickly, and then selling quickly and getting things done quickly. A sense of urgency is real huge. You make it in their mind, make them in their mind think that they don't have a lot of time to make a decision, and it's good for them too, because most decisions that are made quickly and by your gut are typically the right decision. All right. So those were the 4 impulse factors: the Jones effect, indifference, fear of loss, and to develop a sense of urgency. To use all 4 of those during your 5 steps of the sale, um, your chances of selling the customer go up. Remember, we talked about law of averages before, or maybe you haven't seen that video yet, but the law of averages states that when you're starting off, if you talk to 100 different gatekeepers, you will talk to 10 decision makers, and you'll help one of them make the right decision and buy our product, right? So what we want to do is make that 10% of everything that we do turn into 20%. So every 100 gatekeepers that we talk to 20 decision makers. And out of those 20 decision makers, we get 4 closes, right? That would be 20%. Um, so we want to move that up to 20% and 30%. Me personally, I'm around 30 to 40%. I'm not the best, but I'm not that bad either. Just been doing it for a long time. And I know certain keywords and phrases to get people to buy things. So with all that being said, let's get into the 5 steps of the sale. First step is engage. So what I mean by engage is we want to go in there and we actually want to start talking to somebody. It doesn't matter who. Usually you're going to be talking to the gatekeeper up front, and that's when the engage portion of this is starting up. You're going to be smiling. You're going to, talk about whatever, but you're going to also be kind of pointed and directed as well. So you want to engage the customer, but you also want to know who you're talking to. If you're talking to a gatekeeper, know that you're talking to a gatekeeper and don't try to pitch them. If you try to pitch a gatekeeper, they can't make the decision on whether or not you can uh, whether or not the company can buy from you, right? And don't get fooled when the gatekeeper passes you on to somebody that works. The gatekeeper is usually going to be your receptionist or secretary, right? So if the receptionist pushes you on to somebody else, don't get fooled and think that that person is the decision maker. Maybe it's a group decision that needs to be made, or maybe that person's just another gatekeeper in between you and the actual decision maker. You need to find out who the decision maker is pretty early in the process, and that's where the engage portion comes in. You might ask questions like, "Hey, my name is Brandon. I work for a company called Monarch Social, and we help small to mid-sized businesses manage and market themselves on social media. Now, are you the person who handles all the social media for the company, or do I need to talk to somebody else?" And then usually you ask a question like that, they'll direct you to the person you want to talk to, or even give you a name. If they don't, there's other techniques to get past the gatekeeper. Remember, a lot of gatekeepers are receptionists, and their job is to be told what to do all day long. And it sounds bad, but that's what their job is. Their boss tells them what to do all day long. I need you to write this memo. I need you to send these emails. I need you to call these people. I need you to set these appointments. That's what their job is, right? So if they kind of buck at you a little bit, or you think you might have a little bit of a hard time, you might even lead off with this one and you say, "Hey, my name is Brandon. I work for a company called Monarch Social, and we help small to mid-sized businesses manage your social media. Um, we do it for you so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Who handles the social media around here?" And then when they say a name, you say, "Okay, just go grab them for me real quick." Then you turn around and go sit down in their waiting area and wait for them to come bring you that person. Grab your phone. Don't even make eye contact with them anymore. Just put it on them to go do something. If you notice they didn't get up and move, go back over there and ask them to do it again. But I would say about 99% of the time that works for me. Telling them to go grab them and getting up and going, sitting down at the waiting area, pulling out my phone and acting busy. That also plays into the sense of urgency. If you put a sense of urgency into the gatekeeper to get you somebody, it shows that you mean business and that you are here, and it's just going to be real quick. Again, I might say something like, "Just grab them for me real quick." It's only going to take about 2-3 minutes of their time, and go sit down and you know have them do your work for you. Step two, tell a short story. So once you do start talking to a decision maker, once you found that once you sifted through all the people and found the actual person that's going to be the one that can write the check for you and start getting you paid, we're gonna start telling a short story. And what I mean by short story, we're not gonna start talking about Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We're not gonna pull out a short story that we read on Reddit earlier. We're gonna talk about the company and ourselves, and we're gonna reduce skepticism by doing that. We're gonna smile. We're gonna shake the person's hand. We're gonna say, "Hey, my name is Brandon. I told Denise over here that we are that I work for a company called Monarch Social, and that we help small to mid-sized businesses just like yourself uh, market themselves and manage themselves on social media. Now, what's your social media situation look like?" And what we want to do is use our impulse factors to start building that impulse to buy. So you might say, we helped a lot of your customer or a lot of your competitors in the area already. Um, a lot of, maybe we're talking to a burger joint. A lot of restaurants really enjoy our services. It helps them focus on what they need to do in the restaurant so they don't have to do it themselves. Saves them a lot of time, and in essence saves them a lot of money. How much is your time worth? If you were to say you made, I know you're the owner and you make, you know, your profits, but how much is your time worth? An hour of your time is worth how much? Okay, so if we saved you 10 to 16 hours a month, do you think it'd be worth it to go ahead and do business with us? And when you ask questions like that and you start hearing yeses from those kinds of questions, you're hearing buying yeses, okay? And so that leads into our next step, step 3, the present. So when we ask them those kinds of questions, we know that we're ready to let them know what it is we actually do. And that's where your product knowledge comes into play. If you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch that video next. You'll learn a lot about what we do here. But the biggest part of the presentation is we want to keep it short and simple. Again, we're playing on a sense of urgency. We don't want to be in there for too long, and we don't want to bore them to death. So we want to make sure that we're keeping it short and simple, and that we paint a compelling picture. So once you say something like, um, you know, you start asking questions of them and asking them if they would do business with us, if they, you know, if it made sense to, and they start saying yes, then you want to say, okay, so just to let you know what you would be getting into, um, from what I understand, you're needing uh, our middle package, our social rockstar package. And what that includes is we'll take care of your Yelp, your Twitter, and your Facebook for you. So what that could look like for you is instead of running around every day, um, from the computer to making sure everybody's doing what they need to be doing up here and in the front of the business, and then going back to your office and trying to do some more social media, we take care of all that for you. And let's say they don't even use social media and they don't think they need social media. A good way to paint a compelling picture is to paint a life in a day of using Monarch Social as opposed to not using Monarch Social. Okay, so it could sound something like this. Now, I know that you don't really believe in social media, you don't think it could work for your business, but imagine this. You're taken care of on social media. You're getting free advertising out of that, right? If you're doing social media, and it's a lot cheaper than the advertising you've been putting in the newspaper, the billboards you've been putting out. Um, it's about a tenth of the cost of those things, and you can reach up to 100,000 people off of one post. Okay? So imagine what 100,000 people seeing your business on social media through word of mouth marketing on Facebook, Twitter, Yelp. When other people that they know say that your business is the best, a whole world of difference opens up. A whole different world opens up to you in terms of opportunity. Now that opportunity can lead to money. And if you use Yelp properly, we can increase your sales from 10 to 20% in a matter of months. What would you do with another 20%? You could open up another business in a year, an extra 20% in a month. You can buy a new car. You can put your kids through college. These are kind of pictures you can paint to help them understand what they're getting when they get social media. Okay, that's just one way to paint a compelling picture. You might think of a better way to do that later. Um, and once you paint that compelling picture, you need to ask them to buy again. So when you say, we could put your kids through college, with an extra 20% a month, right? Now, doesn't it just make sense to go ahead and do this? So my favorite closing question is, whose name is going to be on the account? It gives me a feel for, one, if I've just pitched the decision maker or not, or if he needs to talk to more people, because the next thing he's going to say is, ooh, I don't know. But we also do that in step 2, when we're qualifying him, when we ask him to buy then. If he says yes, we're gonna buy right then and there, then we'll skip step 3. We might not need to present. He might not care. He just hears these numbers and he's like, if you guys can do that, go ahead. But most of the time, you need to present. You need to explain to the customer what it is that they're getting into and what they're getting out of us, and how much work we're going to be doing for them. But when we go to the close of the sale, we need to ask them and assume the sale. So who's going to be the one to contact for the sale? What's a good time to contact you at? Our account manager is going to give you a call either tomorrow or the next day. Which one works best for you? Those are kinds of closing questions that you can ask to get the sale done. And they're assuming the sale. Then we're going to start talking about overcoming objections. Okay, and we're going to have a whole video on overcoming objections because it's a big part of what we do. Um, Being persistent is huge, and we'll talk about that more in our 6 habits of super salespeople. But overcoming objection is huge. It's a lot of fun too once you get used to it. And I like to use the racetrack of closing. Call it the racetrack of closing because we are in a race with the customer, and it's to see who can. It's a marathon race, and we're trying to see who can last the longest, right? So no matter what they say, we're going to overcome it with the racetrack of closing. So first comes the objection. Okay, you ask the question. So who's going to be the person on the account? And he goes, I don't know. Um, I really don't think I can justify spending that much money a month on this. And then you agree. You say, I get it. It's a lot of money. You don't really know what you're getting into. Is that the problem? And then you reply. You don't really know what you're getting into. Is that the problem? If he says yes, then you explain a little bit more, and then you go back into a close. If he says no again, you agree. You agree with him. You say, hey, I get it. It's a lot of money. And then you reply. You know, for the cost of what we do, it's a mere fraction of the cost that it is for most traditional advertising. And we also help you reach more people than traditional advertising. So, and then you transition, leg 4, transition to another close. So, who's going to be the one on the account again? You're going to keep agreeing, replying, and then transitioning. You might want to ask the same question over and over again. You might want to change it up. It's up to you in your selling style. But every time they give you an objection, you go through this racetrack of closing. If you keep doing it, um, guys, it works. You'll just keep coming around and closing them. All right. Once you close them and they say yes, fill out the form, get them to pay, get out of there, and you're done. Okay. Account manager is going to call them the next day or the day after. And then step 5 is the follow through. So what I like to do is a week after a sale, um, or let's say some people like to do it on like a Thursday or a Wednesday. I like to do it a week after a sale, call the customer up, and I'll spend my mornings about 30 minutes in the morning just um, either emailing or calling my customers a week after I make my initial sale with them and let them know I appreciate their business. If there's anything they need to go ahead and contact me on my email. I don't know, and let them know that I don't always respond to email right away, but I'll get to them as soon as possible. And if they have any other questions, technical questions about the service, let them know that you're just a sales rep. You don't know too much, but the best person to contact is the account manager that they signed up with. And and then I would say once every quarter, give them another email saying you appreciate their business. Guys, the more that we keep customers retained, the more money we make. All right, the more money we don't lose, so the more money we make. Remember, we get paid on residual income, so the longer the customer pays, the longer you get paid. All right, let's move on to the 6 habits of super salespeople. Number 1 is assertiveness. This does not mean aggression, guys. Okay, this is not aggressiveness. This is assertiveness. You just want to let it be known that you know what you're talking about. Remember, we go into these places. These people are experts in whatever it is that they're doing, not social media. We got to become the experts at social media and assert our expertise over the customer and let them know that, we're in control of this conversation. We do this all the time. They don't talk to salespeople all the time. Most of the salespeople go in there, get told no, and walk away. We don't do that. Remember, we overcome objections. We agree, reply, transition. When we agree, reply, transition, we're doing that throughout the whole sales process. The gatekeeper gives you a no, you agree, reply, transition, and keep going towards the decision maker. The whole time you're trying to get to that close. Being assertive does not mean being aggressive. Um, we don't we don't say negative things to the customer. We are always positive. Okay. We always agree. We always reply and transition. So when we agree, we're being assertive with our reply and transition, but we're not being aggressive by saying, "But no, you're wrong, and you don't get it, and you don't get it. This is what we do for a living." You don't want to say those kinds of things to the customer. Okay, that's just being aggressive. So be assertive, not aggressive. work your territory properly. So I'm going to go through a little bit here, but rule of thumb, you're going to get your property, or not property, your territory from your sponsor. So your sponsor is going to give you territory to work. The territory, the way to work territory properly is to use the rule of rights. Okay, the rule of rights means every right turn that you can make that right turn properly. So this is a zip code here, and when we work this territory properly, not only are we going to use the rule of rights to talk to every single business in that area, but we want to talk to we want to stop by every single business 3 times. All right. The goal is like if we don't make a sale on the first time through, or we don't talk to a decision maker on the first time through, we want to get to the next step on the next time through. If you go by a business and they are not open all 3 times you're there, you're done. You're just going to visit each business 3 times unless you make a sale, and then you only have to visit it that many times. You can do it more than that if you want, but I find 3 is probably about the most that you want to do. And then after that, we want to give our territory a rest. So no one will be assigned to that territory for another 6 months. Um, I left that